Download the free Gun Dealio app to your smartphone. Find out about the latest deals and news on guns and gear. Includes the latest Gun Talk podcast and Gun Talk videos. That's Gun Dealio on the App Store and Google Play.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, it's a new book on building your A-team and achieving goals from a Green Beret. Plus, a high schooler organizing nationwide pro-Second Amendment school rallies for May the 2nd. Caliber and optic talk, and more. Call in now at 866-TALK-GUN with your questions, comments, and range reports. And now, here's the star of the show, Tom Gresham.
Alrighty, I'm Tom Gresham, and we're going to be talking about guns for the next who knows how long. You can't make me stop. I just keep talking about guns all the time. Glad that you could be with us. It's called Gun Talk because that's what we do around here. And we depend upon you to help me and us continue the conversation. That means we're going to be open lines for a while right now, taking your calls, comments, questions, and, of course, your range reports. Number here is just dial Tom Talk Gun. It's easy. Or if you like numbers, 866-825-5486. I can't remember it either. Just go Tom Talk Gun. That certainly will get you in here. A lot of things going on this week, a lot of things for us to talk about. Let's see. Lawsuits. Kim Rhodey, 6-time Olympic medal winner, she's taking part, that is, in a lawsuit suing the state of California over its restrictions on ammunition sales. We'll talk about that. We've got the state of New York, and we'll definitely be talking about this one, doing the old extortion thing, kind of a throwback for those of us who were around then to the lawsuits that were filed by 30-plus cities against gun companies with the clear-cut intention of driving them out of business. And now the state of New York is doing the exact same thing. But what they're saying is they want to make it impossible for gun companies, gun stores, gun retailers, gun wholesalers, anybody in the firearms business to get credit or to even have a bank account. I'm not kidding. We'll talk about that as well. Also, holy cow, you know we have talked about defensive gun uses in the past. And there's always been a wide gap. Let's put it that way. A wide gap in what people say, how many defensive gun uses are there a year in the United States. And way back 20-some-odd years ago, Professor Gary Kleck down at Florida State University put out a book, and he and his partner studied how many times people use guns in self-defense to stop a crime or protect themselves. And they've done the study 2 or 3 times, and they always come up with a similar number. It's somewhere in the 2 million, 2.5 million times a year. And much has been made of this by the anti-gunners because they just poo-poo it. That's ridiculous. It's impossible. We never hear about it. It couldn't possibly happen. And so they go to the National Crime Victimization Survey, which is old and it's very flawed, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And they come up with a number of about 108,000. Well, that's a long way from 2.5 million, 108,000 a year. And here's why the National Crime Victimization Survey is so flawed. It is the method that they use. When they are asking people these questions about crime in the survey, one of the questions is, have you been a victim of crime? Okay. Depending on how that is answered, the person will or will not get a follow-up question. If the person says, yes, I have been a victim of crime, then the questioner, the surveyor, will go into, did you have self-defense? Did you protect yourself? And then they'll drill down to, did you use a gun? But, and here's the big but, here's where it all falls apart. If the person says, no, I was not a victim of crime, then the researcher skips all of the follow-up questions, which is to say, if someone tried to rob me in a parking lot, and I pulled a gun and pointed them at them, and they ran away, if you asked me, were I a victim of crime, I would say no. I would have been a victim of crime if I hadn't had my gun, but in this case, no, I was not a victim of crime. And then I would never get an opportunity to explain that I had a defensive gun use, a DGU. So this is where we have been for some period of time. I mean, we're talking a couple of decades, where Kleck and other researchers are saying, no, it's between 2 and 3 million times a year. 2 and 3 million times a year. And the anti-gunners say, that's impossible, that's ridiculous. And coming up with their own quote-unquote studies to prove how wrong Kleck is. The best one of those, I thought, was the one done by the two noted gun ban or gun prohibitionist researchers, Cook and Ludwig. And they said, we're going to show you just how wrong that is. And they did their own survey. They said, we're going to use the same methodology, right? And we'll show you that it's wrong. And they came back and said, well, we just couldn't come up with 2 million. What we came up with it was actually 3 million. And then they didn't publish the study. Well, here we are again, because Gary Kleck has discovered that the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, have continued to study defensive gun uses. But what's interesting about it is they have not published the results. Why, oh, why would that be? I know, wait, stop. Don't get ahead of me now. You've raced on to the punchline, haven't you? I know. So the CDC has been studying this for more than 10 years in multiple studies. So Gary Kleck finally unearthed some lost CDC survey data. And it says the CDC essentially confirmed his results. But since he didn't know about it, because the CDC never reported it, we just didn't know. So Kleck has a new paper out. What do CDC surveys say about the frequency of defensive gun use? And I'm going to jump right down to the bottom line because I want you to know this. This is important. And the media is ignoring it. Let me say that one more time. The media, of course, is ignoring it. For example, the 1996, I told you this goes way back. 96 survey asked the DGU question of 5,484 people. Anyway, when you go over all the data, Kleck, here's his bottom line. The final adjusted prevalence, therefore, implies that in an average year, this is from CDC numbers, not Gary Kleck numbers, not NRA numbers. In an average year, 1996 to 1998, 2.46 million U.S. adults used a gun for self-defense. Let me go over it again. In an average year, this is not a compilation of a lot of years. 1 year, in the average year, 2.46 million adults used a gun for self-defense. This is from the CDC numbers. It almost identically correlates to the 2.5 million that Kleck and his partner Gertz came up with in 1995. The CDC's results then imply that guns were used defensively by victims about 3.6 times as often as they were used offensively by criminals. Let's consider that for a minute. Good people use guns to protect themselves and others 3.5 times more often than criminals use guns offensively. Can you even imagine? Where are the headlines? Well, they're not there. Why is that? Because they don't like the information. And how do you make a story not a story? You just don't report it. It really is as simple as that. So what we have now is confirmation from the Centers for Disease Control. Oh, yeah, by the way, the gun control guys keep telling us, well, the CDC is prohibited from doing gun research, and we need to lift that ban. No, they're not. Never were. Okay? Never were. So the CDC numbers, 2.5 million times a year, people use guns in self-defense. 3.5 times more often than criminals use guns offensively in crimes. The data is there. The data is solid. The data is government-sponsored, government-paid for, and not tainted from anybody. You can't say, well, gee, the CDC is just a pro-gun arm of the NRA. Nobody is going to say that. Fascinating stuff. All right, a brand new revolver just out. Yeah. I kind of spilled the beans on that a week or two ago. But we'll tell you about the details when we come back. I've shot it. It is really something important. Our number, 866-TALK-GUN. What have you been shooting? Who have you taken out to the range? And what are you thinking about buying? I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
Now at LibertySafe.com, you can buy a Liberty Safe at a great price and receive 12 months interest-free payments with 0 down and 0% APR, with some safes as low as $20 a month on approved credit. Peace of mind, lifetime warranty, and in-home delivery service. Go to LibertySafe.com now for 12 months interest-free payments with 0 down and 0% APR. LibertySafe.com.
Used guns can be a great value, but you have to know who you're buying from. What if you could buy quality used guns with a lifetime warranty from the Internet's largest online reseller? That's what you get at Dewey'sGuns.com. They stand behind every firearm purchase for life. If you have a problem, they'll either fix or replace your gun. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, and more. Check out their inventory today at Dewey'sGuns.com.
Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis. Whether you're unbalanced, evading a threat, or engaging from behind cover, a laser sight aids in keeping you on target. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn more about why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Face it, sometimes more is better. That's the idea behind the double-stack full-capacity pistols from Springfield Armory. From the groundbreaking XD to the ergonomic XDM to the latest refinements in the XD Mod 2 series, you can get subcompact, midsize, and full-size pistols in 9, 40, and 45. Carry, target, or tactical models. Fast, accurate, dependable. Don't come up short when it matters. Go full cap. Go Springfield Armory. Springfield-Armory.com.
Lots to do today, a lot to do. We have a number of people coming up a little bit later in the show. We're going to be talking about ammunition from a true ammunition expert. We're going to be talking to an author of a new book from a Green Beret Special Forces guy. Fascinating stuff. Also, we talked to a high school student who is pushing gun rights. Ugh. And we're going to be talking about optics with one of the top hot optics companies. We'll have a lot of things for you to talk about as we go forward. Our number, 866-TALK-GUN. We are open lines right now. If you have a range report, you'd like to share information, or if there's a question you have. I had somebody on Twitter asking me about, would you carry a .22 rimfire? I would, and I have, for specific uses, times, places. But, we have so many tiny little 380s now, and even tiny 9mm, you could make the argument, I could make the argument that you'd be hard-pressed to come up with a reason for it. I don't know. What do you think? 22 or 22 Magnum, an effective self-defense round? 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. All right, so yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit. A week or so ago, I think I let the cat out of the bag before I was supposed to. I didn't know it was a secret. Ruger has a brand new revolver, and it is awesome. Just holy moly. It's called the Ruger GP100 Match Champion. It is a GP100, that mid-size frame. It has a 4.2-inch barrel. It is stainless steel, double-action revolver. And wait for it. Of course, it's the match champion, so it's got a target crown. It's very accurate, 6-shot, chambered for the 10mm auto. Hello. Okay, 10mm auto. Why? Why would you do that? Well, because a lot of people want them, because it's a really good round, because it gives you some flexibility. We use this full moon clips, so you can do quick reloads. Now, not Jerry Mitchell quick reloads, but who can, right? I mean, but you could practice. You could get good at it. We headed out at the range at the Boondocks Training Academy up in Jackson, Mississippi, and started shooting it on, we had I don't know, I thought it was about a 10 by 10. Somebody else said it was about an 8 by 8 inch steel plate. And started backing up. I mean, it was easy. It was just easy. This thing has a fabulous fiber optic front sight, which I really like, and a really good single action trigger, good double action trigger. But honestly, for accuracy shooting like what I was doing, I'm going to go single action. And so we started backing up, and I got back to 40 yards, and I got back to 45, got back to 50 yards, and that's as far as you can go on the range. And then we look behind us, and well, the road goes down that way. Okay, we're the only ones on the range, right? There's nobody else there. So we can do silly stuff like this for the cameras. So we got the drone flying, and we got the cameras rolling for the Guns and Gear TV show. So I just keep backing up. I was back, I don't know, ballpark at 60, 65 yards, shooting two-handed offhand. Interestingly enough, at 60-plus yards, the first shot went high. I found that interesting. But I could see on the berm behind the target where the bullet hit. So, okay, let's see what we can do there. So I held on the bottom edge of this steel plate. And then I just dropped 5 consecutive rounds on steel from, I call it 60, from 60 yards offhand, two-hand, single action. It wasn't really even that hard. You know, if you can get a good sight picture, and if you understand trigger press, and you got a good trigger, of course, that's the whole deal, and a 4.2-inch barrel, called a 4-inch, I guess. I don't know why. I don't know where the extra 2-inch, 2.2 comes from. It's got a Hogue hardwood grip, which I like a lot. Very cool. So that was pretty neat. Anyway, this is something. Oh, and yes, to the answer to your question is yes, you can shoot 40 S&W in it. That'll fit in the full moon clips. Ruger says there may be some 40 S&W ammo that you will not get good ignition on. You may get light primer strikes, so they don't recommend it. But I know it works because we had a full moon clip, and we alternated 10mm 40 S&W all the way around it, and they all went off just fine. So anyway, very cool revolver. Let's see. Let's go to line 3. Ray's with us out of New York. Hey, Ray, you're on Gun Talk. What's going on?
Hey, Tom. I just wanted to point out that I don't think we're really looking at this blue tsunami that they've been predicting in the fall that's going to hurt us in Congress. We're already starting to see a lot of pushback, a lot of companies that were jumping on, the virtue signaling bandwagon. They're backing down. David Hoggs is losing influence. You're seeing that. He's even getting criticism from people on the anti-side, not just getting taken down in videos by guys like Kyle Kashuv, who we don't hear enough from.
Right.
And, the simple fact that this kid was 6 buildings away and came running in with a camera and a microphone trying to become the next Peter Jennings tells you all you need to know about the so-called grassroots aspect of their movement.
Well, let me ask you, you're right in the heart of the whole deal. You're in New York, like New York, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I was going to get to this a little bit later, but we've got Andrew Cuomo basically threatening financial institutions, saying, it really would probably be in your best interest to not be doing business with gun makers and people in the gun industry. I mean, we just do happen to have billions of dollars in assets invested, with companies. And we do have the ability to audit and do inspections of financial institutions in New York. And I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying you might want to take a look at your practices if you're getting involved in doing business with the gun business.
Oh, yes. This is living proof of one thing, if nothing else, Tom. Tammany Hall has never gone away.
Oh, it's so interesting you say that. I just finished watching the Ken Burns 7-part series on FDR and the Roosevelts. And Tammany Hall, for those who don't know, you need to get out your history books and find out there still is a core group, a cabal, if you will, of people who run it all. And you're exactly right. This is old-fashioned, hardcore, organized crime style extortion, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. I mean, you can almost picture Tony Soprano in a dark, smoky room with Shelley Silver and.
Yeah, see, I mean, exactly. You're just looking at it going, wow. I mean, I don't care what, you're all wearing the same suits, and I don't care what side of the desk you're sitting on. You're doing the same things. You're saying to the investment companies and the financial companies and the credit card companies, you don't want to do business with these guys. It wouldn't be good for you. It might, I love it, it might harm your reputation. Yeah, well, we'll send 100 auditors in, and we'll have them spend 3 years tearing up your place, or whatever else they can do. But that is a bold and outrageous threat against companies that are. By the way, for those who don't get it, this is a highly, highly regulated industry. The moment the product is made, it has to have a serial number attached to it and records on every movement of that item. And when it's sent to a distributor, that movement has to be recorded. When it's sent to a dealer, that movement has to be recorded. And then when it's finally sold to the end consumer, the FBI must give its blessing before it can go. Now, name me another product. And Ray, thank you so much for your call. Name me another product where the moment it is created, it starts getting tracked by the federal government. And at the very end, when it's finally sold to a consumer, you must ask permission of the FBI, and you cannot take possession of it until you have received that permission. I mean, people like to say, well, this is a highly unregulated industry. I love it. They say, teddy bears are more highly regulated than that. Really? Are you kidding me? Not a chance. Holy smoke. We'll be talking a good bit more about this as we go forward today. A lot of things for us to talk about. And, of course, you can get in line right now, 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we're going to be talking about ammunition. What's new, what's hot, what's cool, what's working. Is old ammunition just as good as new ammunition? Have there really been any advancements made? We're going to talk to the answer guy when it comes to ammo. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk, 866-TALK-GUN.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All these great guns that we have wouldn't do us any good at all if we didn't have something to shoot through them. I've always been interested in ammunition. I didn't start I take it back. Actually, I did. I was doing slave labor hand loading when I was a kid. My dad had me hand loading when I didn't really understand that I was supposed to get to shoot some of that ammo too. He basically almost had me chained in the loading room. I liked it. It was fun. I'm making ammo back there and handing it out. And I thought the whole activity was hand loading, and he's going out and shooting it. Now, this was shotgun shells for the most part, but we did hand load some centerfire. And then I got really into it as I got out on my own. And then at one point in my life, I was actually editor of Hand Loader magazine, so I got seriously into it. But when I have questions about ammunition, I go to the answer man, Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammunition. Black Hills Ammo. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey, Tom. Good to hear you again.
Man, it's good to chat with you. We always end up talking about a lot of different things. I always go to your website, and then I always have one of those, I don't know how long you've been making that, but I didn't know about that one either. It's like you guys are always cranking out stuff.
Yeah, we have to keep putting out new stuff. It's like riding a bicycle. If you stand still, you fall over.
All right. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but one I wanted to touch on, because it's funny, I was spent part of this past week with a guy who is one of those been there, done that, goes there and comes back with interesting stories kind of things. And I was trying to tell him about the honey badger and the bullet and what it does. And, he had that same look that you and I have had a lot of times throughout our lives when somebody comes up and tells you, hey, I got this new thing and it's going to really do this. And we're both going, We've seen it all, really, come on. And then you have something like the honey badger bullet, and you're going, well, how do I explain this? It's a non-expanding bullet that has the trauma of a fully expanding bullet. And once you said that, they're looking at you like you have horns growing out of your head, don't they? I would have thought the same thing if somebody came to us with that idea,
except for we have a full ballistics lab, fully staffed with 3 guys, and we can test all this stuff, and we've tested it thoroughly, and like I say, I would have thrown the flag on it too, except for we see how it performs, and it really does work well.
It's kind of crazy because, and I've been in your lab a number of times, and you guys really know how to test stuff, and, the temperature conditions are just right, and your ballistic gelatin's just right, and you shoot it, you take the pictures, and you go, yeah, after a while, you kind of know what to expect. Okay, this is going to have a hollow pointer this big, and we're going to get about this kind of penetration. And then somebody says, well, look, here's a goofy bullet, and it doesn't expand, but shoot it anyway and see what happens. At first thought, you're thinking, well, it's going to be like an FMJ. It's just going to punch through and we're not going to have any tissue destruction. And then it's got these goofy little flute things on the bullet, and you're going, what? But yeah, you're right. To your point, when somebody brings you something like that, all you have to do is say, well, really, let's see. Let's find out. And you just go test it.
That's what we do, and that's what we did with this. When somebody first came to us with the original bullet, I said, well, I think it'll work because I've seen this design earlier, but there's things you need to do to make this really work. And that guy that brought it to us was Dave Fricke at Lehigh Defense, and he said, well, like what? And about 5 iterations later, we came up with what we've got now that works. It outperforms every hollow point. It can't overexpand. It can't fragment. And so it gives good penetration even through barriers, plus it outperforms hollow points. So it really is something that performs in a manner way better than what you would have expected.
All right. Now, you're not just an academic on this. You're a long-time law enforcement professional. Would you carry this ammo as a defensive round? It's
what's in my gun on my hip right now.
That pretty much says it all right there. All right, I got one for you. I see that you've got a 4570 Honey Badger. What's the application there? Hunting? Bear defense? What?
Hunting.
Hunting.
The performance on this is pretty incredible. You end up with a temporary cavity and ballistic gelatin of 7 inches, which is as good as you can get with cartridges like 308, 30-06 give you that kind of temporary cavity diameter. But this one penetrates to 33 inches in ballistic gelatin, which is far more than what you're going to get out of. You have to have, in a 308, it takes something like a bonded bullet or a triple shock to be able to penetrate that deep. Right. So here's an old cartridge, from like early 1870s that is performing as good as any of the best hunting bullets in modern calibers. It's really kind of crazy. So I think if you got a 4570, this is the thing to use. And the amazing thing is this is not one of those 4570s that's souped up. The 4570 has a maximum pressure limit of 28,000 pounds, which probably doesn't mean a lot to somebody that's not a dedicated reloader, but it's a mild cartridge, originally a black powder cartridge, so they intentionally keep the pressure levels low. This is not a souped-up cartridge. This is a cartridge that's loaded within industry pressures. It's not one of those that's some people load them up. Some of the manuals even list pressures up to 40,000. This is within SAMI industry pressures.
So you're getting 1,900 feet per second out of a 325 grain bullet. So we got a little bit lighter bullet going pretty fast. I'm guessing now. I haven't run the numbers, but I'm guessing that's probably an honest 200-yard proposition.
I think it would. And you've hit on something there. One of the advantages here because of the higher velocity, it's going to have a flatter trajectory. So it's going to be easier to actually hit that 200-yard target. The shooter, the hunter, still has to do his homework. He has to go out and practice with it and actually shoot at those distances and know his holds for it. But for somebody that knows his holds, yeah, this is an honest 200-yard cartridge.
Jeez. Hey, Jeff, hold on a second here. I'm already figured out. I need to put a new recoil pad on my old Marlin 4570 while I'm at it, but that's a whole different deal. We're going to be back in just a minute. We're talking with Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammo. Check it out, black-hills.com. Great ammo company located in the Black Hills of South Dakota. If you got an ammo question, call us 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
This is Marty Hayes, president of the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. 10 years ago, I created the network to help armed citizens with the legal aftermath of self-defense. There is strength in numbers, and we now have over 15,000 members in the network and over $1 million in our legal defense fund for defensive members after an act of self-defense. To join, visit our website at armedcitizensnetwork.org. That's armedcitizensnetwork.org.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Bang if you don't have something to put inside your gun. We're talking with Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammo. It's black-hills.com. They're located up in the Rapid City area, South Dakota, in the Black Hills. Jeff, I'm looking at your website here, and I know you probably have some new stuff you want to talk about, but one thing I wanted to point out to people, they may not be aware, if they're not into cowboy action shooting, you have an entire line of ammo for that, but to me, it is valuable even if you never go to a cowboy action shooting match. It's just really great, low velocity, low recoil, fun to shoot ammo, is it not?
Yeah, you bet. All the things that the cowboy action shooters want it for make it good for a standard training round. You know, you've got reasonably economical lead unjacketed bullets, loaded to modest velocities, good accuracy. So, yeah, it makes good training ammo, too.
If you got, in fact, I'm looking here, you got a 32 H&R. You could shoot that in your 327 Federal, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. Kind of the same thing as shooting 38 wad cutters in a 357. Yep. You want to just remember to clean your cylinder when you're done because it's a shorter cartridge.
Right, and you got 44 Special for your 44 Magnum, just all kind of cool stuff. All right, enough of that. What's new? What are you telling people about? You're going to be at the NRA annual meetings in just a few days. When people walk up and say, "What's new, Jeff?" What are you going to tell them?
Well, we don't go to the NRA show. We let our dealers handle that.
Okay.
And the bigger guys that are selling our stuff. But one of the new things we've got this year is the Creedmoor. It's been in demand for a long time, and we finally did it. That's a great cartridge. Really modest recoil, very flat shooting. They got some great 6.5 millimeter bullets for it. and basically ballistically, it's pretty much equivalent to a 260, but it has the advantage of the case is a little bit shorter, so you can use some of the longer, more streamlined bullets. Gives you a higher BC, so that's the advantage that it would have over a 260. But it's a great cartridge. Back in '99, I got my butt spanked pretty good at a sniper competition, and one of the guys that beat me was a friend, and he was shooting a 260, and I couldn't understand what kind of advantage it had until I started studying it. And when you realize that the 260 or the 6.5 has external ballistics more akin to a 300 Win Mag than say a 308, as far as drop and drift in the wind. It's a flat shooting. It's almost as flat shooting as a 300 Win Mag, and has the same wind capability to it. So something a lot of people don't realize. They say, "What's the deal with this? It's just an overgrown 243."
Well,
it's actually a bit more than that.
Well, okay, so you're essentially getting the same external ballistics of drop and wind drift as a 300 Mag, without the same level of energy, but you generally, I would offer that most people don't really need that level of energy, but you also, the other side of that is you also don't get the recoil.
You don't get the recoil, and so you're not getting beat up as bad when you're shooting. It's more pleasant. There's less muzzle blast. And one of the other things is with less recoil, the trained shooter can spot his own hits. So if your shot wasn't exactly right, you can send a quick follow-up of was exactly right. You're on target, and you get to see, okay, that was a good hit.
So what bullets are you loading in the 6.5 Creedmoor now?
We're loading 2 Hornady bullets. The Hornady's new ELD line, they're extremely long distance. One of them's a 143X, which that's a hunting bullet, and the other one is a 147 match bullet, ELD-M, and that's designed for match shooting. It's got a bit higher BC. They're both incredibly accurate. It surprised me. We needed a test rifle. We test all of our ammunition through real guns, in addition to developing in the lab with the accuracy barrels and the fixtures for pressure. And so we bought a Ruger precision rifle and went out to the range. And immediately out of this stock gun, we were shooting half-minute groups, not an occasional one, and not 3-shot groups. We were shooting 5 groups in a row, 5 shots each, averaging half a minute, which is just incredible. It shows the potential of that cartridge. Also shows what kind of performance you can get out of a stock rifle anymore.
And not even an expensive rifle. I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that would have required a $4,000 or $5,000 rifle. Now you do it with something that's $1,000 or $1,200.
Exactly. It just off the shelf for about $1,000. You're exactly right. They used to talk about if you had a minute gun, that was a really good gun, a gun that would shoot 1-inch groups. And then if you had a 3/4 minute gun, that was good, but it cost you another $1,000. And if you had a half-minute gun, that was a real rarity, and that cost you another couple $1,000. Now you can get it all for $1,000.
By the way, I want people to make note of something there because I'm so glad you mentioned it. People will go out and shoot a 3-shot group and go, that's what my gun does. Well, no, you have no idea what your gun is. A single 3-shot group or even 2 3-shot groups still doesn't tell you anything statistically significant. You got to do a series of 5-shot groups, and now you're actually knowing what the ammo and the rifle will do. That's exactly right, Tom. A lot of people, it used to be really common that people would write about half-minute guns like they were common, and but if you actually work at it, they are pretty rare even today, and there's not a lot of them. I've seen 2 off-the-shelf rifles in my lifetime that you could lay down. As soon as we started shooting them, they were half-minute guns. Ruger was one, and there was another prototype that a company sent me. They never did go into production with it. It must have been too expensive to produce. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for your time, my friend. Always a pleasure having you here. I love hearing about the new stuff from Black Hills, black-hills.com. Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammo. Man, they make good stuff. repeating one of the headlines for today. We'll have a few others, but the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, had not released, let's be kind here, or had hidden, let's not be kind, data that it had been collecting over a number of years, decades actually. And what we have come up with when Gary Kleck, professor of criminology from Florida State University, goes over the data, he says it's not just pro-gun researchers, although Kleck is actually not a pro-gun guy at all, who say there are a lot of defensive gun uses. The Centers for Disease Control says that each year there's 2.5 million defensive gun uses. 2.5 million times a year. 3.5 times more often than when criminals use guns. Good guys use guns to protect themselves and others. Not NRA data, CDC data. All right, to the phones. Line 2, Doc TikTok out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We just got to the regional. What'd you shoot there, Doc?
I shoot 45 in both rifle and pistol and 12-gauge shotgun.
Cool.
My granddaughter shot with me. SAS is a single-action shooting society.
Right.
We dress up in 1880s costume and shoot the old-style guns. If you think of Gunsmoke, that's what we look like.
Oh, yeah.
It's a timed event. We shoot against metal targets. Safety is our first concern, and then having fun is our second. We had 425 shooters at the Oklahoma City gun range this last weekend, and we all had a good time, even though it rained part of the time. My great-granddaughter is 8 years old, and I am teaching her how to shoot. She will start out with a single-shot Stevens bolt action, the same gun that I learned to shoot at when I was 8 years old.
Wow!
But I taught my father taught me. I taught my son. I've taught my granddaughter, and this will be the fourth generation.
Wait, but so your father and you and your son and daughter and granddaughter, if you count your dad, that's 5 generations.
Well, I only count when I'm pulling the trigger, so I know how many rounds I've got left.
That is terrific. I just cannot say attaboy, bright enough and loud enough. That is terrific. It's what every one of us needs to be doing. And there are going to be people who say, well, age is just too young. It all depends on the child, doesn't it?
It does, and it's done with close supervision. SAS encourages young people to come out and learn safety and how to handle firearms, because they're going to run into firearms that are unsupervised in a neighbor's house or someplace, and they need to know how do you handle this situation. Just like when you run into your first drink, the first alcoholic beverage, your first pill. You need to know how to handle these situations.
There you go. Hey, look, I appreciate it. I'm kind of having fun listening to the radio in the background. So you must be on the job over there. I appreciate it, Doc. Appreciate it so much. What you're doing, that is terrific stuff. That is so cool. 8-year-old, starting them out. To say it again, to put the obvious point on this, we're teaching gun safety. Gun safety is not hiding guns or banning guns or telling children, guns are bad. Gun safety is teaching how to handle a gun safely, how to handle it, to know what to do if you come across one. Even if you're a young child, if you see one, you get the Eddie Eagle deal. Don't touch it. Stop. Don't touch. Leave the area. Tell an adult. Gun safety is us, the gun industry, gun people, handing out tens of millions, and another tens of millions of free gun locks to lock up guns for safe storage. Not railing to get laws to ban guns or to restrict guns or to take guns away or to fine people for having guns or to have additional taxes put on them because you're too gutless to pass bans. This is us being responsible, teaching gun safety. It's what we do. It's who we are. Be proud of that. When we come back, we're going to be talking to a Green Beret. We're going to be talking to a high school student who's for gun rights. And we'll talk optics and be taking your calls.